Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. You want a big upper chest. Good news. I have a free sample specialization program for you to maximize the size of your upper chest. And better news, I have a detailed video, which is this video right here, explaining the hows and whys of constructing that program so that you not only get a sample program that you can sort of do yourself, you get one better, you get an understanding of the principles and all the facets lead into building one. So if you want to specialize something later by yourself, you will have the ability to make this right. So how do we get an upper chest growth program put together? First question we have to ask is why do we need to specialize? Can't we just train upper chest like normal and get good growth? Of course we can, but specialization has a few advantages. If you want to grow one muscle group a lot in relation to others, you should specialize on it, because sometimes by training a muscle a little bit more, maybe training others less, you can get better results overall, which is really, really awesome. If you really care about your upper chest, you don't so much care about your glutes, why would you spend the same amount of effort training both? Easy answer. Secondly, by limiting the focus in some cases on other muscles, you free up more adaptive energy for the target muscle that you want. So in a sense, if you really want the biggest upper pecs that you can get, training some of your other muscle groups a little bit less frees up more ability to have bigger upper pecs actually occur. So that is why specialization is a really, really big deal. And a question that we get super, super often is, okay, specialization sounds like it's just going to make me more jacked. Can't I specialize my entire body all at the same time? You actually can sort of train a ton of volume for everything when you're a beginner, when you're super small and super weak. But as you get bigger and stronger, your muscles and your body take on much more fatigue. So the amount of muscle groups you can specialize at the same time becomes more limited. How do you find out how many currently in your position you are able to specialize with? Well, you design a specialization program that includes all the muscles you want to specialize on and see if you can survive the whole mesocycle of that. If it's way too much volume and you know for a fact it is, you're going to have to take one or two of those muscle groups and say, okay, I wanted to get chest and quads and triceps and biceps on the front burner to specialize in. I'm going to take quads away and just put that into regular training, keep all the other muscles of the three of them on specialization, and it turns out I can survive perfectly fine. And going forward that maybe 4 small muscle groups, 3 larger muscle groups I can specialize on at the same time in a single program. Otherwise, more than that is too much for me because I tried it and it hasn't worked. So the specialization itself. Here are the basics of how to design a specialized plan. On the specificity end, and this is kind of obvious, but has to be said, we want to choose exercises and modalities, ways of doing exercise, and rep ranges that preferentially stimulate the target muscle we want. So that means if you're going to be training your upper pecs a lot, you're going to want to select exercises that target your upper pecs. No magic, but it has to be said since we're doing this sort of first principles perspective, we have to say even the obvious things. Something a little less obvious, but nonetheless very true, is a prioritization perspective here. So the next basis is that we want to make sure often, not always, but often, the muscle we're specializing on, we want to train first in the workout. So if you train chest 3 times a week, and you really want to bring up your chest, specifically upper chest, I'd like to see at least 2 of those workouts, your chest being the first thing you train. Because you're fresh, you can drive a ton of stimulus. If you say, yeah, I'm prioritizing my biceps, but every time you train biceps is after back, how can I possibly believe that you're serious about training biceps if you always train them really tired? BS, you're going to want to put your biceps first, in this case, your chest first. Maybe not all the workouts of the week, but at least the majority of them. Next, it's been shown time and time again that higher frequencies of training usually result in better muscular adaptations, more muscle, but they're not overly sustainable. Well, good news, specialization doesn't require sustaining. Specialization is something we do temporarily anyway, and then back off, have a bigger muscle, or let it rest a little bit, and then hit it again. So here, we're going to take advantage of the fact that higher frequencies are not sustainable, but better for muscle growth in the short term, and use our short-term specialization program with higher frequencies. Here, that means 1 time a week training, you're not serious about growing that muscle in a specialized way. Twice a week training is fine, but really for a lot of muscles we specialize on, unless it's something like quads or something, maybe we get an exception, they just take too long to heal. For many muscles and for many of you watching, 3 to 4 times per week of hitting that muscle. So that means if you want big upper pecs, you're looking at maybe 3 workouts for upper pecs per week. That's a serious attempt at specialization. If you say, yeah, I'm specializing on chest, I train chest Monday, and that's it next Monday, Nope. Muscles can recover way more often than just once a week, and not sustainably, but you can drive more growth by entering a higher frequency program. Last, how much reduction do you want in non-specialized muscle groups to make room for recovery? The thing is, it's kind of like you can get away with reducing nothing and still have good gains, but if you reduce even a little bit, you can have better gains. So it's something for you to think about in your own time, how much of a trade-off you want to make. Now, mind you, you're not losing any size for other muscle groups. You are either choosing to turn them down to maintenance volume, where they don't get any bigger, or you're choosing to turn them down into closer to minimum effective volume, so they do grow, but not as fast as the muscle group you're specializing. So you want to consider reducing overall volume for other muscle groups, at least a little bit, just taking a little bit of volume away. Maybe they make very similar progress, but just not overdoing it on the other stuff. This is especially true if you think about it from a serious perspective, like a contest bodybuilder would. Like if you're just a regular guy training at the gym and you want to make your upper pecs bigger, you may not be okay with reducing anything else. You'd be like, fuck it. If my upper pecs grow, great. If not, no big deal. I tried. And if they don't grow for the next 3 months and it's because I'm doing too much stuff in the gym for other muscle groups, I'll just reduce it then. But if, your judges at your last show said, listen, you need more upper chest mass. And if you haven't, we're going to promote you to the next level. You turn pro or whatever, you get second place instead of third. If they said that, it's serious. And then when you design your program and you want your best effort at increasing the upper pec, because they said, look, your quads and glutes and everything, it looks great. You don't need any more mass there for your current frame, but your upper pec is just definitely lagging. It's the only reason we're really taking points off. You're not going to mess around with being like, yeah, no, I can still keep everything in the program and grow just fine. You're going to reduce the rest of the program just by a little bit, even if it's by a volume reduction of just 20%. Like normally you do 5 sets for something on average, per session. Now it's 4. Even something like that can make a big difference. If you're serious, you'll do it. If you're just fucking around, like I've done a whole bunch of fucking around, no big deal. Try just specializing without reducing anything. And if it doesn't work, you're like, shit, I should have reduced. And if it does work, great. You got away with all of it. The second thing about non-specialized training reduction is especially considering, again, if you're serious, reducing synergist muscle volume, because the synergists can prevent you from maxing out your actual target muscle because they get tired or they get too much interference or whatever else. You don't want that to be a factor. So for example, if you are interested in the biggest upper pecs you can be, what you want to do is make sure that none of the muscles that interact, that synergize with driving your upper pec growth in typical good exercises are the limiting factor and instead of your pecs, and thus you want to reduce their overall volume pretty substantially in the program. So what does that mean? If I'm serious about upper pec increases in size, I don't want to train my triceps a lot. I don't want to train my front delts a lot, maybe hardly at all for front delts and just a little bit for triceps. Because when you go to close to fail on presses and all this other stuff that use a lot of triceps and front delts, you want your chest to be fresh and to be the limiting factor. You don't want to be tired from triceps. You want triceps to be fresh too. If you're tired from triceps, the day before, 2 days before you did a bunch of skull crushers, now you're going to failure. It's because of your triceps and your pecs are kind of like, we would work harder if the triceps sort of weren't sandbagging us. So you want to make sure that your synergist muscles or something you reduce a little bit. Same idea happens, and we'll cover this later in later videos when we talk about these muscle groups specifically, but like if you want to really improve your leg size, you want to stay the fuck out of a lot of lower back training in your other plans, because if your lower back is cooked, it actually prevents your legs from training as hard as they could, because the lower back is a huge synergist muscle in squats and tons of other exercises that involve the legs. So you want to make sure that if you're serious, you reduce maybe all the muscles, just a little bit is how much you're training, and definitely muscles that are synergists and you need them to be fresh so that we push the target muscle as far as it will go without limiting it from anything else. Now, actually constructing, here's a step-by-step guide. Frequency. How often should you train your upper chest if you want a bigger upper chest and you're really willing to do the specialization? Well, I would say consider training your chest 3 or 4 times per week. It doesn't mean 20 sets each time. That means like maybe 5 to 10 sets each time, 3 or 4 times per week. And 2 or 3 of those should be highly focused on upper pec exercises. Okay, not all of them, but most of them. Exercises. This is kind of a no-brainer. Include a core of incline pressing, because incline pressing is probably the most dependable way to make your chest bigger. You can also choose to do some incline flies, some cable flies, where there's a lot of tension at the top, but the contraction's a really good start. And you want to keep in some flat chest work, flat chest, good God, what am I saying? Some flat press work is really good, but maybe later in the session. So you maybe do 2 exercises for upper pecs, and then 1 exercise for just the whole pec or even the lower pecs is totally fine. The reason they're later and in lower volumes is because they're distinctly on the back burner. There are a lot of exercises you can do. I'll have some samples. There is no one best exercise for upper chest, so just you straight up throw that shit right out of your mind. It depends on the individual. It depends on their biomechanics, their preference, what they were training before, what's fresh, and a trillion other factors that we can't predict. So we can have a candidate list of maybe 10 to 15 really good upper chest exercises. It's your job to pick from them, try them, see what works well, see what works less well, and sort of whittle down the list to your best 5 to 10, which you will just rotate forever. So there's no such thing as one best exercise for upper chest, just like there's no such thing as like one best meal. Someone's like, okay, what's the best meal to eat? Aliens come down to Earth. They go, hey, what's your best food, Earth? What? Well, there's like, at least 5 foods, I don't know, tiramisu or some other shit that are in the top 5. And then it's kind of just up to personal preference / when you get sick and tired of stuff. I would also avoid exercises that are difficult to execute and difficult to progress. So there's been some literature that underhand reverse grip bench pressing activates the upper pecs. Yeah, sure, in laboratory it does that fine. If that exercise, the reverse grip bench press, is something you can hold securely, load heavily, do a full range of motion, progress well, hey, fuck it up. That's great exercise. But if it's like feels weird for your elbows and shoulders and you can't even go down the way, and then all of a sudden you like the bar's starting to slip and you only have to use like nominal weights, that doesn't work. So avoid gimmicky bullshit. And if an exercise works well for you, awesome. But if you're like, I feel like this exercise, I don't know what I'm getting out of it, you don't have to use it. Most of the best upper chests in the world were just built with incline barbell presses. So you'll be totally fine doing anything significantly less fancy than what you were planning on doing. Okay, we got frequency. We got exercises, set numbers. Start with 2 to 6 sets per session for chest. That's right. If you have 2 exercises, it's like, 1 to 3 sets per exercise or something, very small, but don't worry, we'll be ramping it up. It's basically whatever gets you a decent pump and makes your chest feel like it had a bit of a workout. That's session 1. Your job is not to annihilate on session 1. It's to set a basic minimum standard. And then we're going to be adding and adding and adding to that as your ability to recover illustrates that. As far as loading and repetition ranges, generally, and this is an advanced lecture, so if this doesn't make sense to you, go back to our Hypertrophy Made Simple videos, watch those all the way through, come back here, and this will make more sense. You want to use rep ranges that get you the best stimulus to fatigue ratios. If you don't know what those are, go back through Hypertrophy Made Simple lecture, it'll explain very, very well. So basically, if you get an unreal stretch, unreal tension, crazy burn, crazy pump from sets of 12 in the incline barbell press, but if you try to do sets of 7, it just feels like your shoulders hurt, you're not really connecting to the muscle, don't do a whole lot of sets of 7, do more sets of 12. And if it happens to be sets of 22 or something that is the best feel for your chest, hey, that's what it's going to take. It depends on individual, it depends on the exercise, it depends on the phase, it depends on your training history. Pick the thing that works best for you so you can confidently say, wow, I'm getting a great stimulus and a relatively low fatigue from this repetition range. Generally, if there's a couple of repetition ranges you want to hit with a couple of different exercises, you want to do your heavy stuff first and your light stuff last. So start the session. If there are any exercises which work well for you for your upper pecs in the 5 to 10 rep range, start with them. Let's say incline barbell press in the 5 to 10 rep range. And then if you do some incline flies after, then you can save the 10 to 15 rep range after. Unless you're ultra advanced and doing some weird pre-exhaust type of stuff, I wouldn't flip those around. Generally, your heavier training first, and then your lighter training after that. All right. In addition to that, if you have a week of training where it's 3 or 4 chest sessions, you might want to do more of the heavy work in the beginning of the week and more of the lighter work later in the week so that you can recover for next week really well, having just done light stuff so that your joints and connective tissues have a high degree of integrity. It's not like you just went ultra heavy and you have to go ultra heavy again. Generally, you start heavier and go lighter through the week. It's backwards. Usually you would think, oh, I got to go up. No. You go down through the week and the next week starts higher and down and it starts higher and you still climb the steps just like that, just in a really, really safe way. Set numbers. How many sets to do? Now, here, sorry, I went ahead of myself. We've constructed the plan from this. Don't worry, I'll give you a sample plan in a bit. You can just copy and do yourself, or you can construct one. But basically, these are instructions to construct the beginning of a plan. How do we modify the plan as we progress? Here we go. What do we do with set numbers? Generally speaking, if you're no longer sore before the next time you want to train chest and you feel strong again, then you can add one set to that prior session. So for example, if I did chest on Monday and I have to do it again on Wednesday, I do chest Monday, I come to Wednesday and I'm like, man, I healed fucking days ago. I don't even remember being sore. And then I have an awesome workout. Next Monday, instead of 4 sets like the first Monday had, 5 sets. Because Monday, clearly as detected by Wednesday's session, wasn't very damaging. We can probably do more and grow more. Now, if you're just barely recovered, like someone's like your training partner, you show up at 5 p.m. to train chest and you're like, oh God, all right, I'm recovered, I'm good. And he's like, you sure? Like, yeah. Early this morning, I woke up, I still had a twinge of soreness. I'm barely here. Do not add sets next time. If that 4 sets got you so sore that you barely recovered for the next session for chest, for Monday got you so sore you barely recovered for Wednesday, why would you add a set? You're just going to get too sore and you're going to have overlapping soreness, so that's no good. If you're still sore or weak, you don't have to reduce anything. We'll talk about fatigue management in another context, and we have a bunch, but if you're still sore, it's okay to go train at least once or twice. Just don't add anything, right? So if Monday, 4 sets of chest destroyed your fucking chest, and Wednesday, you're still fucking sore, still train, warm up real easy, right? Warm up nice and slow, hit your numbers. You're going to feel weird training sore. But next Monday, if it was 4 sets that got you sore this past Monday, next Monday, don't you dare do anything more than 4 sets. You may even try 3 sets, but the safe number is just 4 again, because then you're more used to it, you're more adapted. Then 4 will make you just sore that you just recover for Wednesday, and everything is good after that. All right, what about reps in reserve? How far from failure do we start out? Well, we start out around 3 reps in reserve, the usual, and then we add load and or reps weekly. We'll talk about that in just a sec. And then you deload when you fail to match performance, especially in 2 sessions in a row. So if your Monday session for chest, you didn't do the same thing as last week Monday, you couldn't. And then Wednesday, you also couldn't. It's over. It's time to deload, at least for your chest. Relax, recover, rinse, and repeat. Loading and repetition, very closely related to the RIRs, is essentially you start with 3 RIR and you start with a certain weight and certain reps, and you either add like 2.5 to 5 pounds each week, or you add like 1 to 2 reps each week. I would recommend adding just 2.5 pounds, not 5. I would recommend adding just 1 rep, not 2, because there's little upside for going up too fast. You just fatigue really fast. But if you go up slow, you get more time to increase, more quality training. It's safer, and it probably leads to better long-term results. I know it sounds weird. You got to go up by these tiny little baby steps, but baby steps summed up over months and years make enormous physiques. That's how I got jacked, is doing little baby steps. It wasn't always fun, wasn't always exciting, but it gets the work done. And you can target how much weight you put on the bar to roughly drop your RIR either every week or 2 weeks. So you can have like 3 RIR 1 week, 3 RIR in the next week, then 2, then 2, then 1, then 1, then 0, then 0, right? That's like an 8-week plan. Or you can do a 4-week plan where it's 3, 2, 1, 0, deload. You don't even have to have a preset number of weeks, but generally speaking, the RIR dropping will occur for you automatically just by you putting 2.5 pounds on the bar more, or 5 pounds, or adding a rep or 2 here and there. The RIR will trend down anyway. You will eventually hit failure and you'll have to deload. So it's kind of a self-solving problem. All right, here's our sample plan. Folks, mind you, huge caveat. This is just some stuff I drew up that I would do and I would program for other folks to do. This is not like, oh, why did you choose this exercise? Because it's just one of the many that work. There is no dogma here. I'm not insisting you have to do incline barbell press. Dr. Mike says incline barbell press. Bullshit. It could be Smith press. It could be machine press. It could be not a press at all. It could be a fly. This is just a sample of something that works well for the average person. It might not work ideally for you, so you'll have to change it around. But here's the program. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we train chest. What's not included is everything else you're training in the context of your own program. That's totally fine. Monday, the recommendation here, just as a sample, is to do incline barbell presses for 3 sets. This is week 1. 5 to 10 reps, 3 reps in reserve. After that, we go to dumbbell flat press, because incline first, flat after, because we're prioritizing upper chest. 2 sets, again, because it's not the priority. 10 to 20 reps, because now we're tired, we can do higher reps. Again, 3 reps in reserve. On Wednesday, incline cable flies, great movement. Sets of 10 to 20 reps, 3 RIR, just 3 sets. Low incline dumbbell press still targets the upper chest significantly, but hits the middle chest as well. Just 2 sets, 10 to 20 reps, 3 RIR. And then Friday is kind of a trippy day. It's just flat machine press for 3 sets of 10 to 20 reps. Now, that's not very challenging. We'll probably recover really easily by Monday. And it has no upper pec work. Why? Well, it's both by design. It's not very challenging so that when we get back to Monday for that incline barbell press, we're super fresh and can stimulate the upper pecs like crazy. If we do tons of flat pressing sets on Friday or even incline pressing sets, what ends up happening is we're so sore by Monday or so tired from Monday, we can't have a great workout Monday. And especially if you just do flat presses, you're essentially taxing your triceps and your mid and lower chest and harming your upper chest development because you're not relaxing as much. So yes, it is on purpose that there is not so much to do on Friday. And that's so Monday and Wednesday sessions can be left more fresh. We can really recover from them. Not only is it we don't have a high volume on Friday, but also we're not even touching the upper chest. Now, the upper chest will still get work with a regular flat press, but not a ton of specialized work. Over the Monday and Wednesday workouts, the fatigue in the upper chest will rise. We need it from a smaller volume and to focus on the whole chest instead of just the upper chest. We need the fatigue in the upper chest to drop a little bit so that we can have another good Monday, Wednesday sprint next week, crazy upper chest, and then relax on Friday. And then Monday, Wednesday next week, crazy upper chest, and then relax. That pulsatile wave-like function allows us to stretch out our training beneficially for multiple weeks and get tons of great sustainable growth. This is the same thing as like if you want to work on a project for school or for work really, really well. You do a lot of hard work and then you get plenty of good rest and you rinse and repeat. You don't just work until your eyes turn red and you drop dead. That's not going to get anything accomplished. So we have to think of things as this week, I'm trashing my upper chest, but I'm also taking some time to recover so that I can do the same thing next week. It's week after week after week that a sustainable muscle really is put on. It's not just one crazy week of training will do almost nothing for you muscularly. Now, that is the first week's plan. Let me flash over the final pre-week deload sample of where you might get to. This is not a goal for you to hit. All this has to be done only through autoregulation. Can you recover? Are you getting sore? How quick are you recovering? But it can lead to something like this. So in week 1, we incline barbell pressed for 3 sets. It might be 7 sets by the time that we get to our final pre-week deload, maybe 5 or 6 weeks later. And notice it's 0 reps in reserve. So we're pushing all the way basically to failure or very close. Last week, we did dumbbell flat press with 2 sets. This time, it goes up to 5 sets. Much more work, much more growth. Because we were able to recover, we increased sets. The first Wednesday of the program, we did incline cable flies for 3 sets total, working sets, 3 reps in reserve. Now, again, 0 reps in reserve, 6 sets. Holy crap, that's much more. It's just a sample. Some people adapt this fast, some people don't. For me personally, I had only usually 1 to 2 sets for the whole mesocycle. Some people can add 5 or 6 and they totally recover fine. It's all about what you can recover from. Low incline dumbbell press goes from 2 sets to 4 sets on Wednesday. And now check this out. Really interesting detail. On Friday, we started with 3 sets of flat press and then we ended with 4. Now, hold on a second. After that Wednesday workout, couldn't we have done more than 4 sets? Weren't we recovered enough? Of course we were. But remember, that point of the Friday workout is just to get another good stimulus, keep the whole chest as muscular as it should be. It's more of a maintenance day, and it allows the fatigue reduction to really occur so that we really hit it hard next Monday and Wednesday. So instead of going and doing 5, 6, 7 sets, which we could do, that would probably promote really good overall chest growth. We want mostly upper pec growth, so we're going to really cool it on Friday. Yeah, we're training hard, not a ton of sets so that next Monday can be productive, and that's the way we do it the entire time. All right. Now, you built a plan, sweet. We have a mesocycle, we know how to accumulate, we know how to deload. How long do we specialize for? Ideally, more than 1 mesocycle, because remember, you want a visual impact to your muscles. And a strength change that's like, wow, I never could have done this before, even on a good day. That generally takes around 2 to 3 mesocycles of specialization. So if you're serious about improving your upper chest size, I think you can take at least 2 or probably 3 programs in a row, 4 to 6 week cycles of accumulation and then deload in a row 4 to 6 week cycles, 2 or 3 of those, probably 3, to really tell yourself, okay, I did all my due diligence and I really tried to get the best upper pecs that I could. And every single one of these mesocycles is very similar in exercise type, still lots of incline work. The rep ranges can shift actually up a little bit. You start training heavier in the first mesocycle. As you go in and keep hammering your upper chest, your shoulders can have a little bit of wear and tear in them, elbows. So generally speaking, you still increase the loads in the rep ranges that you have. But while you might do, 2 or 3 exercises in the 5 to 10 rep range in the first meso, in the second or third meso, you may only do, 1 to 2 of those exercises, and the other exercises that were added in were in the higher rep ranges. Or you might do, an average of 3 sets in the 5 to 10 rep range, in the first meso. In the second meso, you need more volume, you're more adaptable. Maybe you keep it just to 3 in the 5 to 10, and the place where you add sets is more in the higher rep ranges because you think to yourself, okay, if I added a lot of sets in the low rep ranges, my body would just fall apart. But in the higher rep ranges, I can add sets, still recover because higher reps generally don't tend to tax the joints and connective tissues nearly as much as lower reps do. Should you be doing new exercises in these new mesocycles? You can on just sheer variation. What I recommend is this. At the end of every mesocycle, you take a sort of evaluation and think, okay, how good were these exercises for me? How high were the stimulus to fatigue ratios? Like if you say, okay, incline barbell press felt like fucking gravy. And even in the last week, man, I can't wait to do more of it. It's this awesome exercise. It greatly stimulates my upper pecs. It doesn't hurt my shoulders or elbows at all. I feel amazing with it. The progression is solid. Don't remove it. Keep it in for that second mesocycle. And if at the end of the second mesocycle it still feels amazing, keep it to the third. But if you do some incline flies and towards the end of the first meso, you're like, I don't know, they're kind of stimulative. I feel my joints a little bit. I want to try another exercise for upper pecs. I'm going to go back to incline dumbbell press. This machine shit isn't working for me. I used to have great results with the dumbbell press. I'm going to go back. Then if the exercise is stale and no good, no worries. In the second meso, replace it. But basically what I'm saying is don't just replace exercises willy-nilly. Replace them if there's a good candidate exercise that has a very likely higher stimulus to fatigue ratio to replace it with. But if things are going well, don't touch anything. Of course, still a very similar structure to the way you're doing things. So if you're going to repeat this mesocycle I just showed off, basically conserve the same structure. If you want, you can have a slightly higher than normal frequency in the last meso. So meso 1, 3 sessions, just like I showed for upper chest. Meso 2, 3 sessions, no big deal. Meso 3, you might want to throw in a fourth one. So like Saturday, you come in and do some like, incline flies or something, or some incline pressing on a machine just to get that extra bit of work. Mind you, that is not fucking sustainable. You can't do that month after month after month. You'll fall apart. If it's the last month of that specialization phase, you don't need to be sustainable because at the end of the month, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm dead. But that's good because I can really back away from my upper chest now. And that brings us to sort of the last question is, what do you do after? Let's say you did 2 or 3 mesocycles straight of upper chest specialization work and, of course, train the rest of your body and other muscles too. What do you do after? Our best recommendation here is one of 2 things. An active rest phase, which you could do Israel active rest, videos will come up, or a low volume phase, which is 4 weeks of essentially almost strength training. It's mostly sets of 5 to 10, very little volume, barely a pump, just to keep your size. What that does is it reinvigorates your muscles and your mind and the rest of your body, resensitizes you to high volumes and to muscle growth. Because if you just keep pulling at that muscle growth string long enough, it gets tired. And then all of a sudden, or your body gets tired, the string doesn't get tired. The string starts to get frayed. You want to relax and recover. So after a real big push of 2 to 3 mesos, on a certain muscle group or just driving your body to get gains, take a little break, take a month of basically strength training or 2 weeks of almost nothing, just fucking around. And then you can come back and either go to normal training, specialize the same muscle group again, rerun the same program essentially with a few different features, if that's still your priority, or pick another set of muscle groups to run specialization on those. Which muscle groups? Well, this is the first video in a pretty long series of we're going to give you guys programs on how to specialize on more or less every single muscle group we can think of, except for neck. Jeff Nippard. You go see Jeff Nippard for neck. I will never answer neck questions about training because I've never trained my neck. I just do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and my neck just fucking looks like that. I do a few other things and not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu related. You know what I'm saying? Big neck is not my specialty because I just sort of wandered into the shit. Jeff Nippard for neck. Everything else we pretty much got you covered over the next several weeks. Now, we're not just going to leave you with that. We got more shit for you. In the description below this video, we have a few things to help you out. First, there is an exercise video library that we have at RP that if you want to think, okay, upper chest, what exercises are available? We have a whole list of them with videos, with me narrating the videos to tell you exactly how to do the technique. Voila, problem solved. Another thing we have is a muscle group training guide, the hypertrophy guide central hub. Upper chest is not a thing, but chest specifically is a thing, and almost all those principles apply. So if you really want to learn about the nuances of chest training, setting up a program, rep ranges, etc., you just click on that. It's right in the description below. It's 100% free. It's not free like, oh, if you sign up for this newsletter, it's free. It's just free. It's a fucking website. Next, the hypertrophy made simple videos, also linked. If some of the stuff is confusing to you, no big deal. You're just one really short, simple video series away from being 100% on track with everyone else here and understanding what all these concepts, SFR, RIR, fuck this, fuck that. Who knows what I'm saying? You will know what I'm saying if you look at the Hypertrophy Made Simple videos, and they're made simple. So I'm speaking in super plain language, introducing you to all these concepts. And to be honest, exercise science is not that hard. The concepts aren't terribly difficult. As soon as you know what RIR means, you're like, oh, fuck, it's just like how many reps I could have done, and then I quit. Yeah, that's it. Hypertrophy book, link in the description. Myself and my colleagues wrote it. Okay, Scientific Principles of Hypertrophy Training. It's not free. It's a fucking book. It's an ebook. It's like, I don't know, $37 or whatever. But if you're really fucking nerding out on this shit and you want to coach other clients to do this, you should probably get the book. Lastly, but not leastly, and I mean, actually, depending on what Scott the video guy decides, it may be the first link you guys see, you can build this specialization program almost effortlessly just by clicking on the muscles you want to specialize and the ones you don't in our custom training template program builder, which will charge you money, but it's a fucking reasonable amount of money for months and months of awesome training. So when you get on that custom program builder, build yourself a specialization plan, you'll get a 6-week plan, and it's literally the instruction to reuse it at least twice, possibly 3 or 4 times. So you can have 18 weeks of training specialized to build your upper chest, made for you in pretty much 2 minutes, with just a click of some buttons. You don't have to worry about constructing fucking shit. The whole thing is designed for you. You get it in your email. It's this training program. You can make all the exercise selections you want. You can reuse it multiple times. 18 weeks of that shit is just like $99. That's not terrible. And if you don't like it, fuck it. You don't have to buy it. You can just make your own program based on this video and all the free resources you have. Folks, what muscle groups do you really want me to talk about? Don't worry, I already have 20 of these written out. But if I miss something, maybe I'll write it in and talk about it for you. Drop those muscle groups in the comments below. Talk shit to me. Do whatever else you have to do. Let's get these fucking gains together. See you guys next time.